Live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. This is News Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. Over the next 60 minutes, this is Joy News with News Today. Now, first this afternoon, the people of Salakope, Agaji, and Agaveji and Amutino are also going to have some respite as President Mahama pledges to fix the annual coastal erosion that devastates the people.
You do Boyako. You go Jack over Furana Mialaka. A home at Dumbly for him.
I fear the Kamala Senior, bro. The Pabu Bura Kamala Senior. Ayali, Grammy Mumloma, Aboma Vea, Yemiamu Catala, Fama, Mimara, Mafia for Miapam, no Monsieur Coroma.
Kofi J will be here with some figures on this matter. Also, high-stake cabinet meeting underway at the Jubilee House as President Mahama leads discussion ahead of Tuesday's 2025 budget presentation to Parliament, where we have live details as well. How do you assess President Mahama's 60 days in office?
Government is doing well because, for the look of things, he's trying to cut costs. The number of ministers has been reduced.
The first 3 months, so I think things are cool.
Going for the first round and then looking at his mistakes, he knows the people he has put in charge, and I believe they will deliver.
We'll bring you more of your assessments. We have business, sports, and showbiz as well. Do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us this afternoon. A community on the edge, literally and figuratively, the people of Salakope and Agaveji in the Ketu South Municipality are just battling the relentless efforts of the sea, but also for years of unfulfilled promises and abandoned projects. The rising tidal waves have swallowed homes, livelihoods, and hope, forcing residents into a desperate struggle for survival. To bring home the number of years these residents have endured this devastation, we take you back a decade from 2015, 2018, 2021, and this year, 2025. In 2015, Ivy Setoji brought us a report of how some relief efforts had been provided for affected persons.
This morning, the minister is around to distribute some relief items, such as 20 bundles of roofing sheet, 200 bags of cement, 200 pieces of wood, and 21 mesh to the fishing communities affected by the tidal waves and floods in the Ketu municipalities. So right now, she's chatting or having a discussion with the fishmongers and the fishermen in those communities. What she told them was to stop using light for fishing, and also they should make sure that all their boats and canoes are registered, and that is the only way they can also help. The ministry can also help them if there is any disaster. And so that is what she has been telling them, that anything that happens, they should make sure that they report quickly.
In 2018, Seram Abla de Souza reported from Amutino and Agaveji, where residents begged for a sea defense.
It's a room, eh? Yes, it's a room. Yeah, this is the beginning of the house. The house starts from here till that place, and the second one is over there in the sea. Yeah, so this place is a house for us, and the room too. About 3 bedrooms here was destroyed by the sea. The foundation of our senior brother, Ernest Bojoka Tete. That is his foundation. Assistant pastor of African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church house, and the room too. That place is in the sea. nyama fia mi la o do ta para mi abale ko do kata na no do fuma na do fia mi na mako ma uva mi mi ko ta pala na wonyo in fact garo mo na roga i ta pa no ka hia do ko mi ano ko chafu na ba gara mi aji aka ka unja mo do ha mi ka poga yo ka mi ya fika no ka mi ko ta mi be ba ma.
Okay. It will be good to be given the valley across the street, but just as how it's been done for the people of Keta with the Sea Defense Project, they should do the same thing for them as well.
In 2021, Maxwell Agbagba spent days in Ketu South assessing the extent of damage caused by tidal waves.
Now you can see it is about 25 to 30 meters from the sea. And the sea has destroyed the school too, and destroyed the property of the people, the houses and everything. This thing happening here is very serious than any disaster happening in our coastal area here. The sea has destroyed it. I will remove the slate and put it somewhere because we don't get any place to make another structure again. I don't know what I'll say. So we are suffering. We are also human beings like the other people in Ghana, and we are also Ghanaian.
On number fia nyama fia mi la o do ta para mi abale ko do kata na no do fuma na do fia mi na mako ma uva mi ko ta pala na wonyo in fact garo mo na roga i ta pa no ka hia do ko mi ano ko chafu na ba gara mi aji aka ka unja mo do ha mi ka poga yo ka mi ya fika no ka mi ko ta mi be ba ma ta ma te ko na mi aji da mi kukura na Ghana government
Well, here we are in 2025. We have the same script, same location. Here is Fred Kwame Asari's report from Agaveji just yesterday.
Evelyn Setu sits in her almost sinking compound, staring at the sea. One would imagine she was communicating with the sea to tone down and cease the destruction. 6 units of rooms and households have been washed away by the sea within the last 7 days. McAfee Atai is also suffering from a similar predicament. She lost 10 units of rooms of the households her parents left behind to the coastal erosions. She's one of the hardest hit residents in the Agaveji community. McAfee has been wondering where to pack out when the sea takes the last room of a household. As the waves get high, she's left with no option but to deroof 2 units of the room prone to collapse before sunrise.
As frustration grows, President John Dramani Mahama has stepped into the devastated communities, not just to empathize, but to offer assurances. He pledged to ensure that next week's national budget includes urgent interventions for the affected communities.
They came and they have made the assessment and they're giving us a comprehensive report of what is happening here. 51 households have been affected and 300 people have been displaced, and 80 meters of the coastline has been washed away. Now, when Chief was speaking, he touched on what the issue is. We started a sea defense project called Blekusu Phase 1. The feasibility study was also done for Blekusu Phase 2, and the understanding was that when the contractor finishes Phase 1, he will continue with Phase 2. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the project ended at Phase 1. Government did not provide funding to continue Phase 2. Phase 2 would have covered Agaveji, Salakope, Adina, and Amotino. And so that basically is the problem. The feasibility study is ready, the design is ready. We just have to allocate the funding so that the project will start. Happily, the finance minister next week is going to present the budget. So I'm going to ask the finance minister to include funding to start Phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. Before we came here, we went to the resettlement project that I believe or I've heard is being financed by Ghana Gas. I don't think the project was well thought through. The work is shoddy, and even the area where the resettlement is being built is a flood area. And so if it floods, it will affect those buildings too. And so those buildings are not fit.
Well, a respite from this devastation for the people of Salakope, Agaveji, Amutino, and nearby communities is welcome news and will be money well spent with President Mahama's pledge to fix it. Lead data and research analyst here at Joy News, Isaac Kofi is here with the figures. Kofi, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio today. I see you have the earth on your screen.
Well, I think we should start with the area view of this place that we are talking about, the Blekuso or the Ketu South Municipal Assembly or the Ketu South constituency. Now, if you look at the map you have on the screen, you can see that this looks like a delta area where, I mean, you have communities and lands in between waters, making it very difficult to actually, curb the situation. You can see towns and villages and houses, between water bodies. So you have this area all being water, and then you have the coastal line that has become the problem because, I mean, you need a sea defense at the coastal line. And as you can see, this is one area that has one of the longest coastal lines we have in the country. Just look at the phase 1 of the project that was actually carried out between 2021 and 2019 and 2021. Now you can see the coastal lines, I mean, the defense that was done, the phase 1. This was supposed to protect this area from the kind of erosion we are seeing and not to, to also help so that they do not have their facilities and their houses being destroyed. But what we understand is that after the phase 1, it's been difficult even getting funds to continue with the phase 2. And this area, looking at how, complex the whole area is, looking at the landscape, how water has actually mixed with the land, it makes it difficult and one of the most expensive sea defense that possibly the country will ever put out. Looking at how the geographical location of the place is a delta. That means that water will keep flowing from upstream to join the sea. The sea is also coming with its own water, making it difficult for people to stay there. Just look at the coastline, how long it is. That is quite long. And that tells you the amount of money the country will need to cough up to build that sea defense. Phase 1 has been done, and we are still waiting for money. Will phase 2 mean an extension or in horizon or in... I'm sure it's about height, right? Exactly, to protect this coastal line. Very long, nice beach anyway, but they are still battling with sea erosion affecting the people there. All of this area you see is not something just green. These are waters. Water actually mixed with the land, making it very difficult to actually tackle this kind of erosion we are seeing. Now we'll come to the big war and talk about, the financial commitment so far. It is very important. It was in 2016 that President Mahama indicated that the Blekuso Sea Defense needed to be constructed. 2016 was when we had the first indication that this project needed to start. We understand that, in fact, we've been lucky as a country that this is one of the projects that a certain government started and another government continued. Now, we understand that the president is taxing the finance minister to look for money. In fact, nobody wants to be in his shoes at the moment. He is solving, the US aid problem, health problems, and now he's been taxed to find money for the phase 2 of the problem because the president understands the devastation that is being caused there. Now, in 2016 was when the project actually started. Let's look at the assurance in 2016. This is the former finance minister, Dr. Atufoson's boss, Seth Sekpe in 2016, indicating that government was going to start the Blekuso Sea Defense. This was from the 2016 budget, meaning that the people got some respite in 2016. Let's look at how it has traveled. 2017, we saw change in power. A new government comes in. You have a new finance minister who said, I know it was started by the NDC administration, but we will continue. They did continue in 2017, not just Blekuso, but other sea defense projects also continue. Now let's go to 2018. What happened? In 2018, we got the first sense of the progress of the project. I'm talking about phase 1, 45% complete in 2018. When the then finance minister, Kenneth Ofori-Atta gave that indication. Then in 2019, we got a full indication. The project was actually completed in 2020, but you can see it moved from 45% complete to 62 and then 100% complete in 2020.
Okay.
But that is phase 1. If you possibly know how a sea defense, you know, I'm sure you know. This means that phase 1 isn't just, the only way to solve the problem. You need to start the phase 2. An indication we saw in another budget where what was going to happen. Let's go to the next slide that talks about the assurance that we were going to see. He said in 2023, government will commence additional coastal, protection works at Blekuso phase 2 and 10 other communities. This was in 2023, but the sad news is that in the 2024 budget, we didn't see this again. Mid-year budget was missing. Even in the mid-year budget of 2023, the Blekuso Sea Defense phase 2 was missing. How do we know that this is a big problem to government? We've been looking at the program-based budget for the Ministry of Works and Housing, which is the ministry responsible for things like or works like this. What we know is that what the ministry budgets for coastal management is woefully inadequate. If you do the math, that's about, let's say, $4 or $3 million every year. We've spoken to experts who have knowledge in curbing some of this situation, and they say we need close to about $100 million to fix it.
That's just about 3% of the total.
Absolutely.
Amount
So this is a big problem. And in fact, we are seeing the president saying that the finance minister should find money in the budget to fund it. But it will be interesting to see how on Tuesday this will feature. We'll try and see if a special amount or a specific amount will be dedicated to the project.
Right. So, Tuesday will be a big day for all of us, because then people in the Volta region definitely want to see if a certain amount of money has been allocated for this project. Meanwhile, Volta Region NADMO Director Pascal Agbagba has confirmed that normalcy is gradually being restored in the affected communities. Now, let's go on Zoom and talk to Pascal Agbagba. Thank you. Well, I'll talk to him on phone. Thank you for joining us. But following the president's visit, what's the situation in the community currently? Oh, did I just lose Pascal Agbagba? But if we're able to connect with him, we'll be finding out what has really happened between the hours of yesterday and now as to whether the people of Agaveji have had some relief from NADMO particularly. And we'll try and bring you that story. But moving away from that, I'll take you to Parliament, where my colleague Kweku Asante has been reporting on how Parliament is debating the preparation of the budget statement ahead of next week Tuesday, and even so, cabinet meeting happening underway. If I have Kweku Asante. Kweku. Oh, unfortunately, I would try. Let me try again and see if I can connect.
Yes, by the time Parliament started proceeding, the House did not have to proceed. In fact, at the time, there were just about 14 NCP MPs present and about 45 NDP MPs present. That is not up to the 2/3. That is up to the 92 that is needed for business to proceed in the House. The majority side did raise the matter of quorum and actually fought the suspension of proceeding. The bell was rung for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the House did not have a quorum. Proceedings were suspended for about 10-20 minutes for leadership to discuss. When they did return, just about 2 minutes ago, it would appear the minority have dropped the issue of quorum. Also, a number of NDC MPs have now worked in a election opinion market. The minority leader is asking the NDC MPs to bring their numbers. He says they cannot claim to be the majority in Parliament. They cannot claim to be a multi-majority and not be able to bring even 91 MPs to do government business. And so, though they have dropped their quorum issues and business is proceeding currently, they are concerned that the majority leadership is not taking Parliament seriously. They are always to bring members to the floor for business to happen. But as we speak, the business meeting has been discussed. Like you said, the House is preparing to receive the finance minister on Tuesday, for which the cabinet is meeting this morning. The NDC MPs again raising questions about the committees of Parliament. Parliament has been sworn in since 7 January. Up until now, there are no committees of Parliament. And when the budget comes, the budget will be referred to the various committees who will report back to the House. None of these issues have been dealt with, and so they are very much concerned about the committee.
Well, thank you so much, Kweku. Away from Parliament, let me take you to the presidency, where President John Mahama this afternoon is chairing a high-stake cabinet meeting to finalize the 2025 budget statement, which will be presented to Parliament on Tuesday. The meeting is expected to address key economic challenges, including possible revenue shortfalls resulting from proposed tax cuts and the financial strain on critical sectors such as energy. Government sources indicate that the cabinet will deliberate on measures to stabilize the economy while maintaining fiscal discipline. Now, let's go now live to the Jubilee House, where the cabinet meeting is taking place, and presidential correspondent Maxwell Agbagba joins me now for more. Maxwell is joining us via phone. Maxwell, if you can hear me, what's currently happening? I mean, you've already brought us the update that a cabinet meeting will be happening at 1:30, but currently what's happening?
1:30 is expected to be the briefing from that cabinet meeting that is taking place, an important one for that matter, since it is President Mahama's it sets the tone for President Mahama's administration for the 2025 budget and the fulfillment of his 120-day social contract with Ghanaians. Our sources in that meeting tell us that the meeting would prioritize all the promises made in President Mahama's 120-day social contracts with Ghanaians. And we know President Mahama has been in office for a little over 50 days now. And the upcoming budget will prioritize resources to some of these promises made. Now, we know notable amongst them is the e-levy, the COVID-19 levy, and then the 10% levy on bed winnings. President Mahama, in the run-up to the election, promised that he was going to scrap all of that, those taxes he described as draconian and obnoxious, in the first 90 days in office. And our source tells us that the discussion largely is focusing on that and how, that is going to, happen. I'm also told by my sources that another important inclusion in the budget will be the groundwork for the 24-hour economy policy. We know that it was one of the flagship promises of the President Mahama during election. Now, we are also told that the budget would also allocate seed money for the Women's Development Bank, which was also part of the campaign promise to demonstrate a focus on financial inclusion and empowerment, for women. Also, one of the areas that will find space in the budget, I'm told, in terms of job creation, is the government plans to roll out initiatives such as a Jumeirah program, the National Apprenticeship Program, and the 1 billion coders program, all aimed at tackling youth unemployment and equipping, Ghanaians with relevant, skills. That I'm also told will find expression in the budget that will be read in the coming days.
Well, thank you, Maxwell. We'll definitely come to you at some point after 1:30 for some fallouts from that meeting. And thank you for bringing us updates. Still on the president, as President John Mahama marks 60 days in office, opinions on his performance are beginning to take shape. While some Ghanaians condemn his efforts so far, others believe more need to be done to tackle pressing issues such as economic stability, unemployment as well. We hit the streets to hear from Ghanaians about their thought on President's leadership so far. Here's what they had to say.
The first 3 months, so I think things are cool. But the doom so is what's disturbing me, because I'm currently in Kumasi and a lot. In fact, every 2 days there's lots out on campus. So I think that's what's disturbing us now.
I think the government is doing well, because for the look of things, he's trying to cut costs. The number of ministers has been reduced. For instance, yesterday, I learned the amount they used to spend on this independence celebration. It's over 20,000. But yesterday, looking at the way he organized it, he has reduced costs. So, on a general note, I think he's doing well.
The president is going according to his words. So, right from the onset, he talked about fixing some stuff and trying to focus on doing what's best for Ghanaians. And we actually saw what he did for the Independence Day, which he said he will cut down the cost, and he truly did. and now save Ghana about 19 billion Ghana cedis. I think it's a good thing. So I think right from the onset, he's going according to his words.
Going for the first round and then looking at his mistakes, he knows the people he has put in charge, and then I believe they will deliver. I'm expecting the energy minister to do his best to solve all these problems. He came out with 1 or 2 challenges, and I believe he's working out to solve it. And then within a few minutes or a few days, everything will be over.
With Mahama, he will do well. You know, they've really messed up the country. There's hardship, oh, my dear brother. There is hardship. But because Mahama has come to power, people have relaxed a little bit. You know, there's a little bit happiness in the system, but people are not too happy. Simply because Mahama has come back. And for me, like I'm saying, he's going to do well. People are saying it's the same thing. They created the mess before he came. They created the mess before this man came. So nobody should blame him. It's only 2 months now.
And the lighthouse is our issue. Me, my president, every day they do light out. So we tell the president to do something about the lighthouse for us.
Moving on, illegal mining or galamsey remains one of the most pressing environmental crises in Ghana today. Despite repeated promises from successive governments, our forests and rivers continue to suffer irreversible damage. A major concern is the controversial LI 2462, which legalizes mining in forest reserves, as well as the rampant abuse of the tributary mining lease allocation system. Environmental advocates say urgent action is needed to prevent ecological collapse. Joining us now is Daryl Bosu, Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, an organization at the forefront of the fight to protect Ghana's forest and water bodies. He has been actively involved in advocacy against galamsey and policy loopholes that enable environmental destruction. Today, among other things, 7 civil society groups in mining are demanding a new leadership for the Minerals Commission. But why? Now, let's speak to Mr. Bosu. Now, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Why are you asking for new leadership for the Minerals Commission, and what are some of your concerns about the fight against galamsey?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. What we have realized is that there is still a lot of need within mining. I mean, when you look at regime, how it's gone far with mining.
Are you able to just reposition yourself so we can hear you clearly?
Is it okay?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay, so as I was saying, we have seen a very unprecedented destruction of our environment over the years. And a lot of the problem we are facing is also coming from the licensing regime. And if you see how licenses are given over forest reserves, over rivers, and even overlapping cocoa farms and all of that, it tells us that there's a problem with the leadership that is actually supervising all of this. I mean, having gone through 8 years of the destruction and seeing that it is not getting any better with our forests and water bodies all at risk at that level, we think that we need a new leadership because the current leadership is not offering us the solutions that we need. And if we are really talking about resetting our environment, resetting our economy, resetting the development of Ghana, then we need a new leadership across board. And that's why we are saying that the chief executive of the Minerals Commission must be replaced with immediate effect. We need somebody who will come in that will prioritize accountability, transparency, and also prioritize social and environmental safeguards for the citizens of Ghana.
Well, Mr. Bosu, so in your statement, as I cited earlier, you also mentioned the Eastern region actively, and then you want some leadership changes in the Eastern region. Which ones particularly?
Yeah, so I think that when you're talking about the eastern region, if you're looking at areas around the Chebi area, looking at areas around Osino, Fantiakwa area, there is a very serious leadership gap when it comes to compliance and enforcement. Communities are really working their night to really stop the illegal activities from expanding and escalating to affect us. As we speak now, the Densu and the Bill River are seriously depleted, affected by Galamsey. But whatever we do, we are not getting sufficient support from the police that is in there. So we are saying that the Eastern Southern Command, the DCOP, Kwedi Boxman should be replaced, and also ACP and Renault Sam, the divisional commander within the Chebi area, should also be replaced, because we believe that they are not providing the necessary compliance support to all the work that people are doing. And then rather, we are seeing an escalation of the mining activities, with the miners are having so much impunity going to forest reserves. And even when forestry officers come try and avert some of these things, we've seen direct action to try and undermine the work of the forestry officers by the police going on the ground to find other ways to arrest other public officers working to avert Galamsey activities in our forest reserve. So we think that there needs to be an across-board change of leadership, particularly for the law enforcement agencies within the eastern region, if you are going to be effective at fighting Galamsey. I think the police, the system now, are too familiar with the miners, and so when they go to the site, we don't see enforcement, but rather we see some engagement that doesn't really help the fight against Galamsey.
Right, so what's really your stand on the airline, which many have criticized, and then you wanting a revocation of it? What's your stand on it?
I think our key problem is that we are now almost 2 months into the administration of the new government. The government has taken critical steps on major issues that need to be addressed. There was oral, several other matters. There's been several sessions of Parliament. This government, before taking office, did promise that they were going to vote LI 2262. And we just can't understand why that has not been done all this while. We think that waiting is not the solution. We need to, as a matter of urgency, prioritize revocation of that airline. We clearly cannot understand why it's still persisting, because the previous administration agreed that was a bad law, it must go. The new government also agrees same. So we still don't understand why that law has not been revoked. It requires an instrument laid in Parliament. Everything is ready. Parliament is ready. The people are ready. We don't know why this is still being dragged and it's not been done. So we believe that action needs to be prioritized with a sense of urgency.
Right. Thank you so much, Daryl Bosu. He speaks for the Arocha Ghana. But moving on, from selling food by the roadside to mastering the act of tiling, 33-year-old Doris Deku has defied the odds to excel in a male-dominated trade. Despite challenges and discouragements, she pursued her passion and is now a professional tiler, working on major projects and inspiring young women to chase their dreams, no matter the obstacles.
First a food vendor. I sell food in an estate. It's true there I saw a tiler. I look at how he was tiling and I thought I can do it. So I approached him, but he told me straight that tiling is not meant for female, so I shouldn't even venture. I met an NGO. They were training youth in construction. There, I wanted to choose styling, but because of what the guy told me, I chose interior decoration, thinking that is a field for female. So along the line, I saw that 95% of the youths found under the project were all into interior decoration. So I told the leaders if I can change the course So from there, I changed the course from interior decoration to tiling. After my training from home, even my sister that I was living with, she wasn't too sure that the training I'm going to have is going to benefit me.
Ahead of tomorrow's International Women's Day, we shall bring you more of these stories in our subsequent bulletins. You're watching Joy News Today with me, Emefa Akusiadetiv. Go for a quick break. When we come back, business. Please stay.
Hello, good afternoon to you and a warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News Today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Joy News checks have revealed that the volumes of unlabeled paint imported and sold as American paints on the Ghanaian market are not certified and approved for use. There have been concerns that some of these household paints, which have long been banned in the US and Europe because of its health effects on children, are being offered to unsuspecting customers in Africa. Joy News investigative desk explores steps undertaken by the regulatory bodies to protect the public.
Drive down through the business districts of Accra or Kumasi, and you are sure to be greeted with makeshift retail shops busily trading an array of bright-colored paints, whether on tabletops, secluded warehouses, or displayed haphazardly. It is what the people now want because they present a cheap but dangerous alternative to them. They call it American paints. What may have given rise to the craze for these paints is yet to be established, although anecdotal evidence will put it on the cost. The locally manufactured paints are slightly higher in price compared to these ones. The worrying concern, however, is that these paints are not certified by the Ghana Standards Authority. Professor Alex Dodu is the Chief Executive Officer of the authority. According to him, these supposed American paints are not regulated by the authority.
What is happening? We have paints, whether imported or mixed around the corner, but not certified by the Ghana Standards Authority and therefore not approved for use, being offered for sale under the brand American paints. And at the Standards Authority, we are aware of it. And we are aware that the name American paint is used because there is a presumption that anything American is of good quality. So the brand American is being used for these paints, and they are being patronized. In addition to they not being fit for purpose in all circumstances.
Chief Executive of Kasona Global Imaging Limited, John Chibu, has stressed the need for the government to consider more investments in technical education. This, he said, will also boost the private sector to support Ghana's economic growth. He spoke to Joy Business.
If we don't do it, who is going to do it for us? Who? What I'm begging is for other people like us to come join us. Not only that, we have to show that we are corporately responsible. We have to contribute to society. How do we contribute to society? For example, my wife just made a donation of a science lab to a middle school. Right? Give them a science lab. Why? So that our own kids will be up in STEM. Right? Science, engineering, technology, and mathematics. We need to start them from the ground up. When Ouija had their flood, we were there. We make donations. Those donations is to show corporate responsibility. And we're asking other people that come here too, other companies that come here too, to join us. The first thing that brought tears to my eyes was I went from Takoradi. I flew to Takoradi. And I had to use the road from Takoradi to Takwa. Do you know what they do in Takwa? That's where they mine gold. But they have all these heavy equipments. The road was a mess.
That's it for business for now. That will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. Sports is next with Sarah Mensah.
Time now to bring you sports on News Today, and ahead of tomorrow's International Women's Day, we have a special feature. Sarah Mensah, producer here at the Multimedia Group, will be bringing us sports. Sarah, how are you feeling about today ahead? I mean, because you're not you're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay. At least you're not a sports presenter, but
I know,
today,
right? Yeah, I'm stepping in for Musbao.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm a happy girl today.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm doing what the men are doing, you know.
You like it?
Yes.
What's happening in sports today?
Okay, so the Ghana Premier League is set to resume this weekend after a brief pause following the tragic death of Nana Poli. The return will see Vision FC host Hearts of Lions in Tema. Ahead of the match, Vision FC coach Nana Kweku Ajiman has been speaking, expressing confidence in his team's readiness as they aim to make a strong return to action.
Vision Football Club, we never went on break. We continued training, we played a few friendly games, so I'm thinking that our boys should be ready for the upcoming game. Their training has been really good, technically, tactically, physically, and psychologically. We worked a lot during the break. The friendly matches will tell you how much of the work we have done on these players, and I'm hoping that we can actually continue the way that we started the second round. We went on break after beating Accra Lions. I'm hoping that we'll be able to continue the victories. Of course, we are playing home, and we want to win in front of our fans, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to do all of that. It's extremely important. I mean, beating Accra Lions was not an easy task. It's a very, very tactical side. They came to play very good football. We matched them. They created chances they couldn't take. We created, we took. So we won the game. I'm hoping that against Lions again, Bandu Heart of Lions will be able to pick another 3 points at home. Playing against Accra Lions is no easy task at all. We went there, we played our hearts out, we got a draw in Pando. On our own home ground, we want to pick the 3 points. I know that our fans are eager to continue where we left off, so we're also prepared, we're ready for it.
Ghana's Black Queens have climbed 1 spot in the latest FIFA Women's World Ranking, moving up to 65th position globally. This rise comes despite their 1-0 defeat to Morocco in a recent international friendly. On the African continent, the Black Queens have also seen an improvement, moving up to 5th place to 6th following a strong run of results since 2023.
So that's all for today, right?
Yes, please. That's all, MFA.
And that's a big win for the Black Queens, though.
I know, right?
And thank you for bringing out sports. That was a big shoe to fill in.
Thank you.
Well, that'll be all, Sarah. Let's just tell them. That'll be all for today on News Today with me, MFA Akosia Adeti. For more news, though, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Oh, well, how did I almost forget that we have Showbiz? But before we go, Jackie will bring you Showbiz. Please stay with us.
Hello there, good afternoon. You're welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yabwa. Let's start with some International Women's Day stories. In a world where shoemaking is often seen as a man's craft, Lucy is lacing up and breaking barriers. Once dreaming of steering a track, she now shapes leather, stitches soles, and carves her own path, proving that passion knows no gender. This International Women's Day, we step into her world.
Inside a small workshop in Osu, the rhythmic tap of a hammer and the steady hum of a filing machine set the tone for Lucy's daily grind. With precision and skill, she measures, cuts and stitches, transforming raw materials into beautifully handcrafted shoes. Lucy has always been drawn to unconventional careers. She once dreamed of becoming a truck driver, but her mother wasn't on board. Instead, she found her true calling in shoemaking, a trade dominated by men where she's had to fight for recognition.
At first, I wanted to learn how to drive truck, be a truck. Yeah, so
it looks like you are the daring type.
Yes. So that was how I started my journey as a shoemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what happened to the truck dream?
Oh yeah, it didn't work because my mom, she was very dramatic.
What has been some of the challenges though?
Stereotype. When I go to the market and I'm trying to select leathers, materials, and the male shoemakers, they come in and they're like, "Are you a shoemaker?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Oh, you made this?" I'm like, "Yes." They say, "Oh no," they don't believe it. They're like, "Oh, it's neat." Sometimes they don't believe. They have to come here to see for themselves.
Well, before Afrobeats took over, before hip life redefined the scene, there was high life, the rhythm that made Ghana move, a sound passed down like a family heirloom, a beat that never fades. But how did this timeless journey travel from colonial dance halls to global stages? For our Ghana Man series today, we take you on a journey through the evolution of high life.
High life isn't just music, it's a journey, a rhythm that has moved generations, a sound that tells the story of Ghana. But how did it evolve? It all began in the early 1900s, influenced by West African rhythms and European brass band music. High life became the soundtrack of social gatherings, an upbeat fusion of traditional melodies and Western instrumentation. By the 1950s, high life entered its golden era. Led by legends like E.T. Mensah, the genre became the heartbeat of Ghana's independence celebrations. It was more than just music. It was identity, freedom, and pride.
All for you, E.T., all for you. I dey wait you, Papa. I dey wait you, Mommy. I dey wait you, Papa. Ooh. All for you.
As time passed, high life evolved. The 1970s saw the rise of guitar-driven high life, while bands like Osibisa took the sound global, blending it with rock and funk.
It will be hard, we
On that Ghana Man note, is a wrap for the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yabua. Over to you, Emefa.
I'd have been so heartbroken if you didn't bring Showbiz today. I'm glad that I didn't wrap up quickly, but thank you for bringing us Showbiz.
You're welcome.
And thank you for sticking and staying with us throughout the week and even today. And ahead of tomorrow, we wish you a happy International Women's Day. And that'll be all for News Today with me, Emefa Akosiadeti. For more news, though, this time around, do log on to myjoyonline.com.
All right.